There are no Germans in the 17th century. There are no Italians in the 17th century, right? They're only there after, the invention of the nation, which comes, again, mostly as out of the French Revolution and in the Romantic movement. A man named Johann Gottfried von Herder, right, who was really the first one who sort of went around, collected people's languages and collected their sayings and their dances and their folk ways and stuff, and said, isn't this cool, that they're Estonians and that they're Latvians and that they're these interesting different peoples who don't even know necessarily that they're different peoples, right? That comes a little bit later. Right? Once the concept is invented, then people start to say, hey, we're nations too. And the Germans decide they're a nation and they unify. And the Italians discover they're a nation and they unify instead of being, Florentines and Romans and Sicilians. Towards the end of the 19th century, with the influence of Darwin, I mean, you can't blame Darwin for it, but Darwinians, who start to talk about, the competition between nations, the natural competition. The weak ones fall away, the strong ones get ahead. You get this sort of combination also with, modern anti-Semitism and with racial thinking. The racial thinking at the end of the 19th century is very powerful. So now, at the end of the 19th century versus the beginning of the middle of the 19th century, you can be a German and be a Jew, and there's no contradiction.
Yeah.
As long as you speak the language and you dress and think and act and share the culture. By the end of the 19th century, people are saying, no, they're not Germans. They're Jews. They're different. They have different blood. They don't say genes yet, but that's sort of a sense of people, and that's when there's this sense of superiority too, and inferiority.
Yeah.
That they're inferior to us.
Yeah.
And that we're the strong ones, and we have to, and there, by the way, just adopts this hook, line, and sinker. I mean, there are a whole series of thinkers at the end of the 19th and beginning of the 20th century who he cites in Mein Kampf, which is written in the early 1920s, that basically pervades this racial thinking. So nationalism changes. So nationalism in and of itself is not bad. I mean, it's not bad, to share culture and language and folk ways and sense of common belonging. There's nothing bad about it inherently. But then what happens is it becomes, frequently is used and becomes, especially on fascism, becomes dangerous.